What if I told you that losing teeth is no longer permanent?
What?
Dentists have been taught for hundreds of years that when you lose your adult teeth, they're gone forever. And for the first time, that actually may be changing. Because today we find out if regrowing teeth is real or if it's just internet hype. Now, first off, we have to get to why this even matters in the first place. And it does matter because 1 in 5 Americans over 75 years old have lost all of their teeth. That is insane. Meaning over 6.9 million Americans are actually living right now toothless. And every solution we have to replace them right now is artificial. Implants, bridges, all of that type of stuff. They're not the real thing. They can't really replace that real tooth. And you probably don't even know this. Your tooth has a system of nerves and all of these things to make it feel the way it does. When you replace that with an implant, bridge, all these different things, it just doesn't quite feel the same. And not only that, but bone loss occurs over time, which makes more teeth fall out and all of these bad things that happen. And it just leaves my patients wishing one thing: I wish I had the real thing back. Why did I let myself lose these teeth? It's a real big deal. So this leads us back to today and the science that could actually be changing this forever. And this leads us to a drug that everybody's talking about right now, the Japan drug, TRG-035. And when this first came up on my feed, I was actually kind of flabbergasted. I was like, this is insane. It was developed by Torojim Biopharma in Kyoto University. And it targets this protein that we call USAG-1. I know it's really long, but basically think of it as a brake pedal for tooth formation. You see, we all know the things that we're used to. You have your baby teeth, which are made from these little things called tooth buds. And then when you lose those, you get your adult tooth buds in. But I guess this USAG-1 is basically stopping us from regrowing more tooth buds that keep coming in. Where an animal that does do this is like the shark. When it loses its teeth, a new tooth bud comes in and it just keeps replacing itself. And apparently this has already worked in mice and ferrets with only a single dose. Now the crazier thing is this is already in human trials. It's actually been going on since 2024. Now it was a safety study only and it was only 30 people, but still it's already started its process working its way down the human pipeline. Now phase 1 has concluded and they show that basically there's no adverse events, no at least significant adverse events, which led them to move on to phase 2 trials. Now phase 2 is launching right around now, basically mid-2026. And they are going to be targeting kids that are missing more than 6 teeth. And it's called hypodontia, to see if maybe we can activate and regrow those missing teeth. Now after phase 2, there's phase 3, and a commercial release is actually slated to be around 2030 as long as everything goes to plan. And it will be for only those rare congenital diseases first. But what does this actually mean for us? It means that technically you could live in a world where you get a new set of teeth every 30 years. Or if you lose one tooth, it's not that big a deal. You don't have to get an implant anymore. You just activate that tooth bud and a new bud just grows in a couple months. It's kind of insane when you really think about it. And I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised. I always thought that you just had those 2 tooth buds and that was it. But I guess there's dormant tooth buds that can be awakened, or at least awakened to grow new tooth buds to go into it, which is kind of crazy, but also makes sense if you think about sharks and other animals in the world that are already doing that. But that's not the only science that's going on. There's other cool science things that are going on in teeth related or oral care in general. We have the enamel gel coming out of the University of Nottingham. Now enamel is also something that has always been an issue in dentistry because once you've removed it or hurt it or damaged it, there was no getting it back. You can't just regrow enamel. And what this gel basically does is it mimics those enamel building cells that we had when we were babies as those teeth were growing. You basically paint it on like a varnish and it pulls stuff from your mouth to basically mimic what it needs to grow, and then it just grows it. It's actually kind of crazy. Now this has only been basically tested on extracted teeth in the lab, has not been actually on any human patients yet, so we're gonna know more down the line, but it's cool just to see that this tech is even starting. And then in King's College of London, we have another drug that's coming out that's basically trying to heal cavities completely. It's actually an Alzheimer drug called tiglucib. I could be totally botching that, but it triggers stem cells inside your tooth to start regrowing dentin, which is the innermost layer of your tooth outside the pulp and below the enamel. And basically what it does is it's regrowing that layer from the inside out, which has always been a problem because once it breaks through this outer shell of your tooth, there was nothing we could do to stop the cavity from going. But now this could potentially reverse that. And it's already proven safe in humans just because it's already been going through these Alzheimer trials. Now the negative here is it doesn't regrow any enamel. This just works in the dentin layer, but if the other one works from earlier, the enamel-regrowing gel, well then we might have a way to combine that and not even have to regrow the teeth. You could just, regrow the tooth from the inside out. And even my company, Something Nice, is also working on this. We're the first company in the world that uses biotech in toothpaste. We use what's called a nanolipid emulsion to basically directly target and attack the bacteria that cause cavities, which is strep mutans. And we've shown that by using our toothpaste, you can basically just reduce just that singular bacteria away from your mouth. And technically, if you could remove 100% of that bacteria from your mouth, you physically couldn't get cavities no matter how much you try. And guess what? This one is actually already tested. We had university-backed human double-blind studies on it, and you can actually get this today, which is kind of crazy because all of these other technologies are amazing. But if you just stop the bug from even getting in your mouth, you never even get a cavity to begin with. And you can actually buy that today. It's actually called Zero Pro, and I'm really, really proud of it. It took us 3 years to develop and a ton of money. But this is one of those technologies that's already on the market while we're waiting for all these others to come about. And that's not it. We're actually going to be growing even more. We're going to be working on different bacteria like Fusobacteria nucleatum, and we already select for another one called P. gingivalis that's in basically gum disease and bad breath and stuff as well. Now that being said, all of this amazing tech coming, it doesn't mean that we haven't had a slew of misinformation, fake, and debunked stuff coming out, because I feel like I've been told every year since I was born that we were going to figure out how to solve oral disease forever. But it seems like we really might be doing it this time. But that being said, let's call out some of the ones that we have had in the past that just didn't quite work out. So we had this viral claim out of South Korea that they had this patch and you could just wear it for 20 minutes a day and you would just regrow your teeth. And well, that didn't quite work out. France 24 investigated it in 2025 and they basically found out that it was completely false. Now the crazy part was before it was found false, over 730,000 people shared that before even it came out. So it's easy to spread misinformation. And it was probably pretty easy to know because like through the different stories, it was like a different place credited everywhere and all these people like, no, I did it. Well, it turns out it was fake. So the real question is why does misinformation spread so fast? And I think it's just because people want a quick fix. I mean, we dream about a place and time where basically oral disease is gone and we never have to worry about cavities or getting fillings or all of these things. And it's so easy to latch onto that hope and just spread it without actually checking the sources behind it. So let's just keep everybody grounded here, okay? Going back to the tooth regrowing stuff with the USAG-1, okay? The problem is if you block it in one spot, that's okay maybe, but if you block it everywhere, it could cause problems because USAG-1 is also in kidneys. So blocking it everywhere to fix one spot is pretty risky. Nobody right now that I've seen can guarantee that that tooth can grow in the exact spot you want it to. You know, maybe you put it there and you end up growing a tooth through your chin. We just don't know yet. And in fact, we've actually seen that where tooth buds have grown through the nose and other things like that. And what if it grows other teeth that you don't want? That maybe you have a good tooth and then that tooth falls out and then another tooth comes in its place. And also it may only work in children who have enough stem cells still to be able to do it. Maybe in an adult that don't have those stem cells anymore, maybe it just won't quite work for us. And also just to let you know, when we find out something works in animals, it doesn't quite necessarily always translate to humans either. And while I think these things are amazing, and even some of these great new inventions and technology are used today, like I said, our toothpaste, you can actively use this today to start fighting these cavity-causing bacteria. So as awesome as these things sound, and even though some of them are out today, like our nanolipid emulsions, and we've done double-blind human studies, and we've done all these things, it doesn't quite mean that everything you read on the internet is gonna come to fruition and or work for humans. So obviously for a lot of these crazy ones like the tooth regrowing, the enamel regrowing, the dentin regrowing, we're still going to need to see some human research. We're going to need to see some real data on this before I would prescribe some of these hardcore ones to patients and things like that. And it looks like, the FDA and powers that be are also going to be holding those back until those clinical trials are done. So the real answer is probably 2030. At the best case, we might see the teeth regrowing stuff. It looks like it's also going to be in the congenital kids only first, so it may even be 2035 before me and you could actually get that done. And that's if it works at all. We could find in phase 2 or phase 3 that it just didn't work and then we're back to square one again. Because the last thing you want to do is lose all your teeth and then start growing teeth in your chest or your brain or your nose or something on accident. But luckily, until then, we do have ways to replace lost teeth. Specifically, implants are probably your best bet that's going to mimic a tooth the greatest. Or, like I said, our Zero Pro with the biofused nanolipid emulsion that we have to actually just get rid of the bacteria for the first time ever in your life so that maybe you just don't even get the cavity in the first place. So will we be able to regrow teeth and never worry about losing a tooth to a cavity ever again? Well, for the first time ever in my lifetime, the answer is not a flat no anymore. And with what I've seen in the biotech space and even the stuff that we're working on with our products, this stuff is coming. Whether it's this company or another company that's working on something else, or AI that's going to develop a cool new treatment that's going to solve it all without us even thinking about it. It's probably coming sooner or later. And the truth is, other than, say, our biotech toothpaste, none of this is available to use today. So don't put your oral health on hold just because you're hoping that maybe you can regrow a tooth in the future. You still need to brush your teeth, you still need to floss, you still need to take care of yourself to make sure that those teeth last long enough to see these things come to fruition. Because you know what's better than taking a drug to regrow your tooth? Is never losing the tooth in the first place. So I don't know, would you trust a drug to regrow your teeth? Would you even want to regrow your teeth at all and go through all of that all over again? Maybe even have to go through braces again too, now that I think about it. I don't know, let me know down in the comments below. Well, that's all I've got for this one. If you enjoyed that, you know what to do, and we'll see you next week.